So remember when I did the video talking about the fact that Sonic SatAM, thanks to the WildBrain YouTube channel, has been re-uploading a lot of the classic SatAM adventures and even episodes as of late. You know, basically in 1080p. Well, it seems that they're just about done there. It seems that they're just about done there because of the fact that, well, recently they uploaded the Doomsday Project, which was the finale of Season 2, and it looks like they just re-uploaded, and I thought they did it earlier, but I guess this is the first time they've done it, re-uploaded Blast of the Past Part 1. Now, there are other channels they could be re-uploading these episodes on, and that's okay, that's fine. But to me, this, again, to mention what I said before, is a huge deal. It's a huge deal mainly because of the fact that even if you watch them on a 4K television or a television that gives you the picture options of, standard, natural, movie, HDR, mostly HDR is found in 4K, they look good. The imagery looks good. I mean, even when you watch in standard, it looks crisp, it looks clean. And it's getting me to wonder, do they have the actual film prints? Yeah, you heard me right. You heard me ask that question right. Do they actually have the film prints? Because we know that when people talk about a show from the 80s and the early 90s getting a Blu-ray release, mainly an animated show, everybody always says that you have to have the film prints. And it's not going to be possible to remaster or even upscale the imagery that well, or to the point that you feel is suitable for a physical release on Blu-ray or 4K, unless you are able to basically really remaster and truly upscale the image to look crisp and clear. And to me, it looks like WildBrain, who owns the rights to SatAM, because WildBrain, technically, if you tear away all the veils, is DIC Entertainment, that's Deek Entertainment, behind all those, curtains and everything. They own the rights. So by owning the rights, they obviously, just like with, any other show animated wise that they may have access to, they probably own the film prints. So who's to say they don't have a team working on this show, along with the other Sonic shows, and even some other DIC shows, and who's to say they don't have a team touching them up? Taking the time to touch them up, especially with the technology we have today. Who's to say there isn't a team out there that's not touching them up to make them just look a little bit more cleaner and a little bit more like they just debuted, recently as of, let's say, this year or last year. Who's to say they don't have a team? Because they probably do. They probably do. And that's what makes me excited about this. That's what makes me happy about this, happening. And it makes me even more positive that Discotek Media is going to be releasing the show on Blu-ray. It's just they're waiting for WildBrain to finish up any other, touch-ups they have to do for SatAM and for Underground before they make that announcement. I mean, you can't tell me that Discotek doesn't know fans want SatAM. They do. I mean, why do you think they waited for so long to announce in the recent media day that they're doing a full Blu-ray release of, on the SD on B, as part of the SD on BD lineup? Why do you think they waited so long until the recent media day to announce that they are bringing out the Japanese version of Sonic X? Yeah, the one you kind of see on Hulu, as an alternative option. Why do you think they waited for so long to make that happen? Because they needed certain things to take place first. They needed translations of all the 78 titles. They needed a few things, taken care of, like touched up or worked on or whatever. brought in to be part of this, they had to wait until certain elements were in place before they can make that announcement. And I think what's going on here, again, it's just my opinion, but I think what's going on here is the same thing with WildBrain. They are basically doing what they have to do before they can give Discotek the okay to come out and say, yeah, now we're bringing out Sonic SatAM on Blu-ray. Yeah, we're bringing out Underground on Blu-ray. They're waiting until all the necessary elements are taken care of. They are waiting for that. They are waiting for all the necessary elements to be taken care of. And I, for one, cannot wait for that day. I mean, I know it's coming. We all know it's coming. Like I said, next year marks 30 years since the show debuted. This part of the year right now, in 2022, marks 30 years since the first comic adaptation by Archie Comics of Sonic came out. And then fully next year, and then fully the following year in 93. So 93 is going to be a big year for Sonic. Not just the end of 2002, with Sonic Frontiers coming out today and Sonic Prime coming out next month, but it's going to bleed into 93, and 93 is going to be a big year too. It's going to be a big year too, because it's going to be celebrating a lot of things. The 30th anniversary of the comic officially as an ongoing series by Archie. The Sonic SatAM and Adventure series are going to hit 30 years. Underground's going to hit 25 years. And Sonic 3, the one that introduced Knuckles to us, is going to hit 30 years. Along with Sonic CD, is going to hit 30 years. So, to me, I think Sonic CD's... Sonic CD's actually 2000... What was it, 94, 95? I could be wrong. But anyway, it's going to reach a milestone, basically. Sonic CD, Sonic 3, and all these, and Sonic SatAM, Adventures, and Underground, the comic are all reaching milestones, anniversary milestones next year. So I couldn't think of a better time for anybody to want to release any kind of media based on Sonic, for fans to have. And that's why I think Discotek, is waiting for. They are waiting until WildBrain does what they have to do with all these episodes and then gives them the okay to say, make the announcement. Because, like I said, if you don't think Discotek couldn't have just released the Japanese version of Sonic X alongside the English version a couple of years ago, when they had the opportunity, if you don't think they could have done that, you could be mistaken, because they could have. But they wanted to wait. They wanted to wait till everything was in place. They wanted to wait till certain elements were done, certain translations were done, and now we're getting it. Now we're getting Sonic X, the Japanese original version, on Blu-ray in the coming year, at the beginning of the year. So, to me, that basically spells out the obvious, that we're going to get SatAM Underground on Blu-ray as well. It's just a matter of patience and time. I mean, again, when you look at the fact, you go to the Sonic the Hedgehog WildBrain YouTube channel and some of the other WildBrain channels as of late, and you see re-uploads of SatAM and Underground, and then you look at the stats. You go to that stats for nerd little thing, on the screen when you look up information, on YouTube, of the video you're watching. You go to that stats for nerd thing, and it shows you that what you're watching is in 1080p. And that has to be right there a sign, in my opinion, that they're doing something. They have something in mind. They have something planned. But they can't say anything right now until everything is taken care of. All the elements that need to be taken care of are, basically finished, and then finished, and then they can get the okay, basically, from these people to, make that announcement of, yes, this is going to happen. So it's kind of like, I'm assuming, basically something like, let's say, MLP. You think the obvious thing is to put MLP FIM on Blu-ray, the whole series, but I think they're waiting for certain things to happen, that being Hasbro and Shout Factory, mostly Shout Factory, before they get the okay to do that. But overall, though, this to me, again, is just another sign that they're going to do it. And again, the biggest notice that I've looked at is the fact that they look a lot cleaner. They look a lot cleaner. And again, this is by just watching it on standard picture mode. I put it to HDR and it looks phenomenal, if not more brighter than ever. And we're not talking, and here's the thing, I'm not talking watching my DVDs. I'm talking watching this on YouTube, on a 4K television. You know, and I know people might say, well, 4K is going to bring out the best anyway. That is true, but I also have a 1080p television, and guess what? It'll probably look good, if not better there too. What I'm getting at, folks, is just be ready. Pay attention to what's happening, you know, with the Sonic the Hedgehog WildBrain channel. Watch the episodes, see the difference if you can notice it, and just be ready. Be ready for that next media day, because I guarantee you that next media day is going to be one we're all going to be looking forward to. Because I believe, and Discotek knows this, I believe we're going to get the announcement of Sonic SatAM and maybe Underground as part of the SD on BD line very soon. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I got to get ready for work. Comment down below, live chat during the premiere, like the video. Check me out at BW Roses Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also support me over at Venmo at Brian-Walmer-2 and at Cash App at BW Roses98. Also check me out at patreon.com/BW Roses with a $1 or $3 tier to support me there, and a possible $5 Q&A tier when the time is right. Still working on that. Also check me out at my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. And if you're a Sonic fan, there is some Raleigh for Sally stuff there, so check that out. Also, ladies and gentlemen, check me out at VENMO at BW Roses for content you can't get here on YouTube. Also, check me out at Divanart.com, says BVW1979, and at BW Roses Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations, except for Pandora, where you will also get a podcast version of this. So until next time, guys, I got to get ready for work, but let me know what your thoughts are. And until then, I am out.